wants to make more money. Everyone wants to make more money, and everyone's out here trying, right? But I'm going to tell you the secret to making more money right now in this one little sentence. Then we're going to dive in and I'm going to take you through a process that will help you to actually manifest more money because your bank account won't grow until your nervous system feels safe to hold more money. Let me say that again. This is what I want you to remember. Your bank account won't grow until your nervous system feels safe. And I know what you're thinking. Of course I feel safe with more money. Like, give me all the money. Let's see how safe I can actually feel. Drop some millions in my lap, right? But do you feel safe with the power that it brings, with the visibility, the responsibility? Do you feel safe with the risk of holding that much money? And do you feel safe to take up space and to fully receive? Like, do you even let yourself receive compliments without immediately trying to give something back to the person who complimented you? If you can't do that, are you really open to receiving the wealth that you're calling in? And do you feel safe to hold that level of wealth if it means you might be judged or even rejected from the community that you're currently a part of? If you had asked me 10 years ago when I first started my business, if I was afraid to make more money, I would have laughed at you and I would have said, of course, I'm not afraid to make more money. My biggest fear, honestly, is having not enough money, but I'm not afraid to make more. Well, let me tell you how I found out the hard way that your nervous system does, in fact, determine the size of your bank account. So, my little business back then when I started was just getting by for a long time. It was making enough to pay my bills, which was pretty amazing. I'm grateful for that. But when my little business started to take off, I started making $20 and $30 and $40,000 a month, and something happened. And this is where I learned how your nervous system actually determines your bank account. I hit a threshold and I didn't even realize it for a long time, but I hit this threshold and my body totally shut down. And I know it sounds crazy, but when I hit $40,000 a month, I went into this state of functional freeze, which is like being able to go through the motions, like you're still doing the things, doing the actions, but inside I had this deep feeling of feeling disconnected. Even though this is the work that I do, nervous system work. I do this for a living for everyone, but I couldn't see it in myself because we don't see our own unconscious patterns. But what we do see is the external reality. So my external reality was that I was making $20, $30, $40,000 a month, and then all of a sudden it started dwindling. And I didn't recognize what was happening inside, but I could tell I had made all this money and then something started happening. And it took me a while to realize that. And my bank account was shrinking. And I had actually been in a functional freeze state for a really long time. And I didn't even know. Even though I was obviously smart enough and capable enough to grow my business to that amount, so I had the ability, but my nervous system didn't feel safe to hold that amount of money. So, if being smart and capable and hardworking enough would make you rich, you would already be rich. And you wouldn't be here listening to me if you weren't brilliant and driven to bring your sacred work into the world. The very fact that you're here and you're seeking these kinds of answers to expand your impact in the world and to elevate your financial reality tells me that you are not afraid of putting in the effort. So if you, like me, possess these qualities, why then does sustainable wealth seem to elude you? Why did it elude me back then? And I want to tell you the answer. It's not something that you find with the self-help gurus or what I call the manifestation porn industry. You know what I'm talking about when I say manifestation porn? You know what I'm talking about, right? They're not going to tell you the truth because it's not sexy. But the truth is that you don't need to do all the manifesting and manifesting harder when you have deeper levels of safety that are being called for. It's calling us to go into the deeper roots of our own felt sense of safety in our nervous system. We have to rewire those beliefs about survival and safety at that deep nervous system level before the affirmations and the journaling and all of the manifestation practices are going to land. Money doesn't have a place to land if you are not safe in your body. If life force, creative life force energy doesn't have a safe place to land inside of you, money is not going to land in your bank account because your nervous system doesn't understand money as numbers in a bank account. It understands survival, safety, and belonging in that order. Survival first, safety, and then belonging in that order. So that's why you can make enough money to survive, to make your basic needs, and even have a sense of safety or some level of comfort. But if making more money than the people surrounding you threatens your friendships, threatens your belonging to that group, your nervous system will find creative ways to keep your income capped because it prioritizes belonging over money in your bank account. So take my story as an example. I was a teacher before I became an entrepreneur, and that teaching job provided enough money for my basic needs and a safe environment. And it also provided a sense of belonging among the hardworking but barely making ends meet kind of people that I grew up with. And what I've learned now through the work that I do and guiding thousands of other people through these same patterns is that everyone has a threshold for wealth in their nervous system, even if they don't think they do. Like most of us think that we could hold $1 million. Most of us have stacks of money on our vision boards that we're like, sure, I could bring in $80,000 a month. That threshold is how much actually feels safe to your nervous system, not how much is on your vision board. And this is why you often hear stories of lottery winners who win millions of dollars and then lose it all pretty quickly, or even go into further debt after winning millions. Like they actually become worse off because they couldn't hold that magnitude of energy, that much money, that much power, responsibility, risk. And it's also why you hear stories of so many self-made millionaires talk about how they made all the money that first year, they made those millions, and then they lost it all, even went into bankruptcy. They were worse off than they were before. They failed miserably, lost everything. And then they learn how to make it all back again. And eventually they learn how to hold it. Now, what you don't hear in those stories is how did they learn how to hold it? How did they learn how to increase their capacity in their nervous system? And most people probably don't even think of it that way, right? But back when all that was happening to me, even though I'm a nervous system facilitator, I had no idea that I was holding this threshold for money because, like you, I wanted more money. I was capable and I'm smart and I'm good with money. Even though I grew up with not a lot of money, I still learned how to earn money. I learned how to work hard and I learned how to save money and I learned how to budget wisely and I did really well with the little that I had. And I didn't think that I had any kind of fear of making more money. Of course, I was like, give me more money. Where's more? I'll take it all, right? So if you asked me back then if I was afraid to be a millionaire, I would have said absolutely not. But I was afraid of being judged. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that receiving more money as an entrepreneur was going to trigger those fears, the fear of being judged. I didn't know it until it actually happened, until my bank account had $40,000 in it and my whole body actually shut down. That was my threshold. And I've since come to understand why that specific number is my threshold. It was because that was the number that I made when I first started teaching. And so there was like this thermostat, this threshold set in my nervous system that said, this means we've arrived. Because when I first became a teacher, that felt like I had totally arrived. On top of that feeling like meeting my threshold and my nervous system shutting down, the spiritual community that I'm a part of started sending me messages about how they hated to see that I had become all about the money. And that, of course, triggered my belonging needs. It triggered this feeling that I was about to lose the community that felt like home, that felt like my soul family. So when that happened, my nervous system brought me down a couple or several notches. And this is because until you expand your capacity for more wealth at the level of your nervous system, you will also be taken down a few or several notches every time you reach that wealth threshold. So the question now is, how do you expand your capacity for more wealth? So I'm going to tell you how to do that. And I want you to grab a notebook, and I'm going to guide you through a process and tell you exactly how you're going to rewire those beliefs, that nervous system threshold around money. So first thing you're going to do is honestly examine your own money stories. So think about when you were little, what kinds of things did you hear about money? Did you hear things like, money doesn't grow on trees? Or, who do you think you are? That's so expensive. We don't have money for that kind of stuff. Or, money is the root of all evil. In your family, did you see financial struggles? Was the conversation around money stressful? Did it cause conflict in your household? These early imprints are what create your nervous system's threshold, or that operating manual for how to be with money, even without you realizing it, because from the ages of 0 to 7, you are a sponge picking up all the rules about survival. Money is connected to survival. So your nervous system is unconsciously picking up all the rules about money and about wealth and belonging and safety. And so those imprints then set the boundaries and the expectations for what your nervous system will perceive as safe when it comes to financial abundance. So you have to bring awareness to these stories. And when you bring awareness to these stories, awareness brings choice. And from here, once you know that what those stories are, you can start to rewrite them. And I'm going to show you how. So first, I want you to write down your threshold amounts. Earlier, we talked about how your nervous system prioritizes your basic needs, safety, and then belonging over anything else. So you're going to write down your threshold amount for the minimum amount that you need to cover basic essentials like food, shelter, clothing, basic. By the way, things like the internet don't even fit onto this list because even though we think it does, it's not a basic need on this for this first threshold. For your survival needs, you don't need the internet to survive. So I want you to think about what's that number that's like absolute like baseline survival. And now you're going to write down your next threshold amount, which is your safety amount. The number that makes you feel truly safe or even a little comfortable, like not luxury comfort, but having more than enough for just food, having enough for a home that's in a safe neighborhood, having enough for a house that meets your basic needs and then some, that's comfortable, having some extra comfort and feeling safe as well as fed. That's going to be your safety threshold. Then when it comes to your belonging threshold, this one might be the trickiest because it carries deeper unspoken rules and beliefs that you have about money. And this is where you got to do that deeper work. So I want you to meditate on, is there an unspoken limit where having more money would start to make you uncomfortable? Is there a number that starts to trigger this feeling of like, this is too selfish, this is too much, this is too different? Or like it might make you a target for judgment or being attacked. So this threshold, by the way, is the one that keeps most spiritual entrepreneurs trapped in barely getting by. Think about the starving healer, and you might even be in that category where you have really beautiful gifts to offer and you undercharge. I know a lot of people who fit in this category really do undercharge. And this is a big one because the spiritual community doesn't just have unspoken rules. The spiritual community has outspoken rules about money and wealth and how money and spirituality don't mix, right? That spiritual teachings should always be free, or that in order to be of service, it means that you should never ask for money, or you shouldn't ask for too much, right? Whatever too much means. So now you have those numbers in those three categories. And I want you to look at those numbers and see, how do those numbers, and especially the biggest number, how does that number match, or how does it relate to your desired income? Most likely there's a gap between your current threshold, those three thresholds that we just talked about, and what it is that you truly desire. And that's why you search for videos like this. That's why you've been trying all the manifesting and visualizing that you can get your hands on. But now you need a process to help you rewire those beliefs. And in my somatic workshop, Unbound, I teach you a full belief upgrade process. I'm not going to do that today. You can access the Unbound workshop where I guide you through a deep somatic hypnosis that helps you get to those deeper layers of your unconscious mind and rewire at the level of your nervous system. So that link will be below, as well as a free belief upgrade journaling practice, which I'm going to guide you through now, but you can also download it, print it, and use it again and again. And I'm going to guide you through the journaling practice now. So if you have a pen, or if you want to go pause this, print that, and come back, you'll see what I'm talking about. So in this process, you're going to see on one side, you have your current reality. On the other side, you have your desired reality. So I want you to look at that gap that you have between your current reality and your desired reality. So today we're going to use this specifically for money, but you could use it for other things. But today we're going to focus on money. So what's your current reality? You're going to write that down. For example, if you make $5,000 a month, but your desired reality is $40,000 a month, there's obviously a gap, right? So you're going to put your current reality on the first column and your desired reality on the second column. Okay. Now the next part is, what beliefs do you have that match your current reality? This is really important. This is where you're going to start to look at your own unconscious mind and understand why it is that your reality is what it is right now. So your beliefs are actually shaping your current reality. I want you to look at, what are those beliefs that match where you are financially? Then on the other side, what beliefs would you need to have to match your desired reality? So as an example, if you're only making $5,000 a month and you find it hard to believe that more people would pay you more than what you're already charging, write that down in your current beliefs. So it would say, I believe people won't pay more for my services. I believe there aren't enough people to buy my services. I believe the market is slow. Whatever your beliefs are that you have that match your current reality, Write those down. Then on the other side, what beliefs would you need to have this desired reality? So I would need to believe that there's more than enough money, that there's people who would love to pay premium prices for the amazing work I do. Write those beliefs down that would match that desired reality. Then you're going to sit with the beliefs in your current reality, and you're going to look at that list, and you're going to feel the emotions and the somatic sensations that come with those beliefs. Then you're going to go over to the other side, your desired reality, and feel into those beliefs. What does it feel like to sit in the belief that there are plenty of people that want to pay you for your services? What's that feeling like? So write that down, the feelings, the emotions, the sensations that come with that. Then the last step is, what actions have you been taking that match your current reality? So your beliefs, your feelings, and your actions are creating your current reality. So this process gives you a map of exactly what's been creating your current reality. And on the other side, what actions would match your desired reality. So if you're believing that it's possible and you're feeling it in your body and you're feeling that expansiveness and that abundance, then when you take actions from there, what would those actions be? And how are they different from your current reality? You can imagine that if you're believing and feeling and acting from this desired state, that you're going to create a different reality than the one you're currently in. So this is a really powerful practice, and you can use it on anything that you find yourself stuck on. I highly recommend going to the link below and accessing Unbound, which is a 90-minute somatic workshop where I guide you through a deep somatic hypnosis process, and you'll do the belief upgrade journaling, and then I'll take you through a subconscious process where I guide you into a trance state so that those new beliefs go deeper than surface level. This process is amazing because awareness gives you choice. But if you want to go deeper and you really want to get this into your nervous system and into your unconscious mind, I highly recommend doing the Unbound workshop, and you can access it down below. You can also print this journaling practice and use it as often as you want. So I want to thank you for being here, and I would love to hear if this video touched you or impacted you in any way. Please leave me a comment and let me know. And be sure to subscribe to this channel for more on how to rewire your nervous system to hold more wealth, more visibility, and more leadership as a spiritual entrepreneur.